So then Shiva, upon learning this, is so upset and enraged and he has dreadlocks. So he throws his dreadlock down to the ground, and up forms this warrior called, give me a sec. Oh, it's not going to come to me. I have to look it up. And sends this warrior to the festival to then slain all the gods that are at this festival, including the dad. But then instantly then goes after, sees the results, and feels utter remorse. So then he's very powerful, Shiva. So he then corrects it, tries to, and somehow rebirths all the gods. And the dad, the warrior beheaded him. So he put a goat's head on top of the dad to then bring the dad back to life, and then carried his wife, Lakshmi, back, to then sulk about this. And she then ends up becoming rebirthed. Yeah, they all. It all corrects, right? But it becomes this story then of the warrior poses. So warrior one, when we're forward with the arms up, it's supposed to signify Shiva, like, oh my God, like, how did this happen? And praying. And then warrior two, right? Or is it warrior three that signifies the hair being thrown down? I'll look it up. But each warrior pose symbolizes part of the story. And I don't know if anybody tried to get on, but nobody.
They didn't? Oh,
I'm in, but it might have been too late. So the three warrior poses symbolize all the different parts of the story. And it's just, these mythological stories are meant to give you a little bit of background into the poses, so that when we're having kind of this internal struggle, maybe about holding a pose, oh, this muscle hurts, that muscle hurts. Sometimes then if you're able to think about what the pose represents and move your awareness into this kind of greater purpose, all of a sudden the thigh might not burn as much when we're in warrior one or two, or maybe the balance that you're trying to strive for in warrior three, because then you're turning inward and your focus becomes inward, and you're not worrying about, oh my God, I'm not as stable as my neighbor, or I'm not as stable as I want to be. That's ego. Focus more on where you are. So we're going to transition from warrior one to two and then three. If you don't have blocks, I highly suggest blocks today, because we'll do warrior three, putting our hands down on the blocks, and focusing more on alignment versus the balance of it. So let's start seated. Let's do a little bit of just tuning into our breath. Find hero's pose or Sukhasana, crossing the legs. Just find a tall spine. Take an inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Bring one hand to your heart space, one hand to your low belly. Let the elbows come alongside your body, shoulders soft. Inhale and hold the breath at the top. Elongate your exhale. Feel the belly come down, the breath come down to the low belly. Another inhale like that, holding the breath at the top. And elongate the exhale. One more time. Inhale, pausing at the top of the breath. Elongate the exhale. This time we'll pause at the bottom. So inhale and exhale. When you get to the bottom of the breath, hold and inhale. Exhale the breath out, pausing, holding the breath at the bottom. Inhale. Exhale. Pausing, holding the breath at the bottom. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. That pause at the bottom. Slide your hands to your heart center. The pause in between breaths is space. There's a story, kind of a metaphor about a famous pianist when asked about his creativity, about his playing, and he says it's the space between the notes. He felt he played just as good as anyone else, but it was the space between the notes that mattered most. So in yoga, that space between the breath, bringing your awareness to that space between the breath. So any part of that warrior story, what resonates with you, resilience, strength, that inner fire, form your intention to draw from one of those traits. Opening with the sound of Om. Inhale, exhale the breath fully out. Just take a moment to thank yourself for being here today. A light flicker of the eyes. Let's make our way into a wide-legged child's pose. If you want to deepen the shoulder stretch, place the blocks at the lowest height. Let your wrists rest on the blocks. Let the fingers come over the top of the blocks, and then sink your head in between the arms. Bring your toes to touch as your knees widen toward the edges of your mat, allowing your hips to sink a little deeper. And begin to draw the breath from your diaphragm. Feel the breath from your diaphragm. Oh, good, Deb. Thanks for joining us. So Deb, if you're using the block, rest your wrists on top, letting your fingertips come over the top so that gives you a little extra stretch for the shoulders. Yep. And then have the head drop. Yeah, there you go. So breathing and feeling the breath coming from the diaphragm. So for our warrior poses, we're going to be warming up the hip flexors, our calves, the hamstrings, but also the core. So in this child's pose, really feel your midline, your center. Feel the breath moving from the belly up to the heart space, maybe even toward the crown of the head. and back down. Next, inhale, come up to tabletop, move the blocks off to the side if you use them. Align your knees under your hips, stack your shoulders, elbows, and wrists, and spread your fingers. Plug into your thumbs, index finger, tips of your third, fourth, fifth fingers, and then draw the belly in. So the navel is moving toward the spine, helping to neutralize the spine, and then extend the right leg behind you, drop your toes to the floor, to the mat, and then rock back. So you're dropping that right heel down toward the mat, deepening the stretch for the calf muscle, for the toes, that arch, that foot, your ankle. Inhale, rock forward, so the top of the foot comes to the mat. Exhale, rock back, heel drops. Inhale, rock forward, top of the foot on the mat. Exhale, heel drops. And then inhale, lift that right leg, finding spinal balance here. So think about warrior 3 for a moment. In warrior 3, we want our hips to be level. We don't want one hip to be lifting higher than the other. And a little trick to level out your hips is if your toes are pointing to the floor and then you're pushing through the heel. When you push through the heel, hopefully you feel a little lengthening of that leg. And maybe add the arm now, so that left arm is coming up and coming by the ear. Gaze is still looking down so that your neck is an extension of the spine. So try and draw the belly in so that the arch in the back fades. Moving out. Draw the belly in. There. Feel the difference? Feel that little shift? And then elbow to knee. So inhale to lengthen, exhale, draw elbow to the knee, rounding the spine. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Keep that belly engaged, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen, drop left hand down, cross the right leg behind you. So you're coming up on that right big toe or all the toes. Take a moment to square the shoulders, draw the belly in so the chest isn't collapsing. So kind of with that hollowing out, now turn your head to look over the left shoulder. Maybe catching a glimpse of the big toe and getting a deeper stretch for this right side of the body. Breathe in. Breathe out. Keep the belly engaged. Feeling the stretch in this hip flexor. One more full breath in. And out. Turn the head back to looking between the thumbs. Lift that right leg up and then swing it out to the right. Drop that right foot down so the right edge of your foot is parallel with the wall. Inhale, lift the right arm. So it's coming straight up. Try not to dump weight in the left shoulder. Reaching up through that right arm so you feel like you're taking weight off of the left. Palm facing this emergency exit wall. Feel the chest opening. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then exhale, dropping that right hand down, bringing that right knee in To meet the left, finding tabletop, and then other side. Extend left leg behind you, starting with the toe on the mat, and then push back, dropping left heel down. Breathe in and out, feeling that stretch for this left calf muscle, for that left foot. Inhale, rock forward, coming to the top of that left foot, and rock back, rolling over so the heel drops. Inhale, roll to the top of the foot. Exhale, heel drops. Inhale, one more time, rock forward. And exhale, heel drops down. And then lift that left leg, spinal balance. So take a moment, turn those left toes to the mat. Draw the belly in. So if you feel the belly has sagged, draw it in, hollow out, push through the hands. Feel that center, lift the right arm, spinal balance. Push through the heel, reach through the fingertips. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen, drop right hand down, cross left leg behind you. Stay squared, strong, draw the belly in, stay hollowed. Then turn your head to look over that right shoulder, catching a glimpse of the big toe. Beautiful, nice. So not feeling like we're collapsing in the shoulders, but they're staying strong and opening up this left side of the body. Really feeling the breath. Fill up the rib cage. And then inhale, lift it through center. Swing it out to the left side, dropping it down. Planting that left foot. Inhale, left arm lifts up. Turning the palm now to the TV. Full breath in. Full breath out. Full breath in. Full breath out. Feeling rooted. If you're rooting down in that left foot, helping to ground you. And exhale that left hand down. Bring that left knee in, tabletop. Inhale into cow pose. And exhale, draw that belly in, round the spine, chin to chest, tuck the tailbone, cat. Inhale into cow pose. And exhale into cat. Inhale. Feel that chest opening, shining forward, and exhale into cat. One more. Inhale into cow. And exhale into cat. Coming to puppy pose. So keep your hips stacked over your knees and just walk your hands out, separating them a little bit so your hands are wider than your shoulders. So I like to place my fingertips on the top corner of my mat. Drop, chest, chin, forehead to the mat. Excuse me. So puppy pose, to really think about the puppies and how they get that big stretch, arms reaching out. So a full stretch in the arms and the chest coming down to the mat. So similar to knees, chest, chin a little bit, where the hips are staying up And our chest is lowering to the earth. One more full breath in and out. And then next inhale, walk your hands back under your shoulders. Bring your blocks, middle height, under the hands. Take your right leg behind you and then inhale, bring that knee to your chest so your foot is hovering over the mat, and then step that right foot between the blocks. Inhale, float the arms up by the ears, Anjaneyasana. Maybe that right knee, the bend deepens a little bit, drawing that quad muscle on your left leg to stretch, the hip flexors, opening the psoas muscle. Also active here. Exhale, hands down to the blocks and tuck your left toes under to lift that left leg, finding low lunge. Keep your left hand on the block. Inhale, right arm lifts, opening into this low lunge twist. Full breath in. Full breath out. Maybe find a deeper bend in the right knee, a lengthening of that left leg. And exhale, right hand back down. Step the right foot back. Find a high plank here using your blocks. Full breath in, engaging the belly. And then inhale, left knee into the chest. Step that left foot in between the blocks, drop the right knee down. Uncurl the toe. Inhale, sweep the arms up by the ears, Anjaneyasana, other side. Full breath in. Full breath out, maybe deepening the bend in the left knee now, drawing a deeper stretch for the front right quad muscle. So as hip flexors. And exhale, hands to blocks, tuck the right toes under, lifting that right knee. So finding a low lunge, left knee trying to come to a 90-degree angle. And then keep the right hand on the block. Inhale, left arm lifts and opens you up into the twist. Keep lengthening through the right leg. Root down through the left foot. Soften that left shoulder as you reach through the fingertips. And exhale, hand down to that left block. Step the left leg back, finding plank. Drop the knees down and move the blocks to the side, hands to the mat. Lowering, so upper body lowers all at the same time. Rotate your elbow creases to the front of the room. Start bending at the elbows, rock the shoulders forward, lower, try and lower hips, belly, chest, all at the same time. So hands end up by your lowest set of ribs, hug the elbows in, lengthen down through the tailbone. On an inhale, lift the upper body, cobra. And exhale, lower down, tuck your toes under, put your seat back to your heels, lifting into downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out. So that motion of pushing our seat to our heels and then having the hips lift us up helps to maintain extension in the arms and the spine. So really feel that lengthening right now. Feel that extension, the hips moving up toward the ceiling. One more full inhale and exhale, and then lift your gaze, look between your hands and walk your feet up. to the top of your mat. Lift up halfway. Take the arms out to the sides, forming a T. Really draw into the belly. So feel an engaged core. And arms just coming straight out from the shoulders. So as if I could put a tray on your back. Lift up a little bit. Notice the difference? So really engage the core, bend your knees and lift the upper body to stand. And now straighten the legs. Inhale the arms overhead, hands to heart center, Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, float the arms overhead. Exhale, take the arms out to the side. I want you to think about tilting your tailbone up a little bit. Lead with the heart as you start coming to that flat back. Now bend your knees a little bit. Now come to forward fold. Let the head hang. Low belly moving toward the thighs. Uttanasana, forward fold. Maybe the legs, maybe the knees straighten a little bit here, but they don't have to. And when it's maybe your first forward fold of the day, it might be a little tighter. So just giving yourself that opportunity to warm up. Use the breath to help you find those spaces. And let's take the arms out to a T. Bend the knees a little bit. Lift the upper body. So you're coming to where the spine is straight, but the knees are bent. Then straighten the legs. Lift the arms overhead. Interlace the fingers. Index fingers pointing straight up. Make sure your feet are symmetrical in line with your hips. And toe, second toe pointing forward. Inhale to lengthen and exhale, side bend to the left. This right arm in line with the ear, reaching through those index fingers. And press into the right foot. Full breath in and out. Inhale through center. Exhale over to the right. Pressing into the left foot now. Full breath in and out. Try not to hold the breath. Lengthening through the index fingers. Inhale through center. Exhale, diving forward into forward fold. Moving into our sun salutation. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step both feet back to plank. Rock forward, shoulders coming past your wrists. Then drop your knees, elbow creases facing front. Bend the elbows, hugging them in, and lower the whole upper body at the same time. Tops of the feet to the mat, lengthen through the tailbone, and inhale into Cobra Bhujangasana. Exhale, tuck the toes under, push your seat to your heels, hips lifting you into downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Breathe in, breathe out 1. Breathe in, breathe out 2. Breathe in, breathe out 3. Breathe in, breathe out 4. Breathe in, breathe out 5. Look between your hands, either a light hop forward or walk your feet up. Inhale, lift up halfway. Bend your knees, take your arms out to the sides, and then lift the upper body, straighten The legs, arms float overhead, closing that sequence, hands to heart center, Tadasana. So coming into warrior one, let's bring our hands to our hips, put a little bend in your knees, hover the right foot off the mat. So when you hover that right foot, if you feel the right hip lift, level it out. So oftentimes even just lifting it can shift our hips. So our hands help level those hips out. Then take that right leg behind, drop the toes to the mat. Start to bend this left knee. If the left knee is coming past the toes, wiggle that right foot back to deepen, widen the stance. Hands staying to hips to help guide the hips forward. This is a forward-facing hip opener. Once the balance is there, so that right heel still lifted, this is high lunge. Now, drop that right heel down, but hips still facing forward, warrior one. And then you can start making micro adjustments, maybe deepening the bend in the left knee. So spine perpendicular with the floor, hips facing forward. Try lengthening down through the low back to feel greater stability for the spine. So that lengthening of the low back really helps to stabilize the spine. So warrior one, exhale, hands down to the mat. Step that left leg back, find downward facing dog. Or child's pose. Or if anybody wants to do a vinyasa, rock forward to plank, lower knees, lower that upper body like a yogi push-up. Slide forward into cobra. And exhale, tuck the toes under, push your seat to your heels, hips lift you into downward facing dog. And look between your hands, either a light hop or a walk forward. And inhale, lifting up halfway. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. And then rounding up to standing, so bend the knees a lot. Kind of let the upper body hang as you round the body. Inhale, arms overhead. Finding that center, that concentration, hands to hips. Little bit of weight in the right foot now as you hover that left foot. Keep the hips level, and then we bring that left foot behind, starting in high lunge. So drop to your toes, heel lifted. And then let's actually drop the heel before we lift the arm. So that left heel now drops the toes on a 45-degree angle. And notice that our feet are in two different planks of wood. That back foot is not directly in line with the front. Inhale, arms up by the ears. Just like in Anjaneyasana, our arms are lifting up, lengthening, but shoulders are soft. Hips are still facing forward, bend the right knee a little bit deeper. There we go. So feel that stability in the spine. Lengthen down through the low back so you feel the spine then lifting up. Wonderful, arching back. One more full inhale. And then exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank, your choice. Either right in a downward dog or child's pose or lower knees, chest, chin, or if some want a lower chaturanga, do it safely. And all meeting in downward facing dog. Beautiful. So bring the feet a little closer together, coming to the center of your mat. Inhale the right leg. I want you to lift it up, but level the hips. So just like in spinal balance, where the focus was on leveling the hips, toes pointing to the mat. Draw the right knee into your chest. Hollow out your back, rocking forward. Try and bring this right foot forward in between your hands. Low lunge. And now drop the left heel down. Keep the bend in this right knee. Notice your heels in a straight line. Start sweeping the left arm forward and up. Let it bring you up into warrior two. Spiraling open. Gaze looking out over the right fingertips. So our stance is a little wider in warrior two. Our spine goes so perpendicular with the floor. So instead of leaning into the pose, so the right knee is bending toward a 90-degree angle. We don't want the knee to go past the toes. Our arms are reaching in opposite directions. Feel the lengthening down of the tailbone. Taking heat off of that right thigh, press into the outer edge of the left foot. So spiraling down, just as how we came into it. Start to take that right hand down outside the right foot. Pivot the back foot, low lunge, and then pull that right leg back. Downward facing dog. Hips lift you into the pose. Bring the feet toward the middle of the mat, closer together. Inhale, left leg lifts. Three-legged dog. Level out those hips. This will be helpful for warrior three. Draw that left knee into your chest. Try and rock forward. And then bring that left foot forward in between the hands. Drop that right heel down. So really feel grounded here. So low lunge with that right heel drop, right heel in line with left. Start lifting the right arm, spiral, root down through your feet as you lift the upper body, spiraling up into warrior two. Hips opening to this emergency side wall. But try not to let the left knee drop inward. You want to keep that left knee tracking with your second toe. Beautiful, everyone. Lengthen out through the fingertips. Gaze is strong, looking out over the left fingertips. And begin spiraling down so the hands come down and frame that left foot, pivot the back foot, step the left leg back, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Look between your hands, either step your feet forward or a light hop forward, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Let's have 5 breaths here. Hang like a Raggedy Ann doll. Maybe hold opposite elbows or wrap your arms around the back of your legs. whatever's going to help you to just release tension in the neck. Invite in deep, even breaths. Maybe shake the head yes. No, maybe sway from side to side a little bit. And then release that bind, bend your knees, roll up to stand. Tadasana, mountain pose. So moving into warrior 3 now from warrior 1. So finding warrior 1 again, put a little bend in your knees, lift that right foot off the mat and bring it back and drop that right heel down. So find your comfortable distance between the feet, arms float up by the ears. I forgot to tell you to put your blocks in the front. Oh boy. So, if you can reach your blocks without getting out of warrior 1, bring them right in front, like I have them. So you want them in front of your mat because your hands are gonna go under your shoulders. Have them at the highest. Bring them up to the highest height. So notice how your hips are facing forward. I want you to reach forward as you bring the low belly toward that left thigh. I want you to reach for your blocks. And now I want you to lift that right leg. Lift it where the hips stay level. So Steve, I know you want to get right into it, but you don't have blocks, do you? So now with your hips level, with the support of your blocks, flex that right foot, pointing the toes to the floor. Push that heel toward the back of the room like you're standing on it. Hopefully you all just felt your right leg get a little bit longer. Maybe now come to fingertips on the blocks. So engage your core. Engage your core. Maybe take one hand off and then switch to the other hand. Maybe for some, hands come to heart center. Gaze looking down. As slowly as we got in, begin to lower that right leg down, come back into warrior 1. Hands come down to the mat, step back to downward facing dog. Amazing how downward dog can feel like a rest pose sometimes. And then look between your hands, either walk your feet up or light hop forward. Bend your knees a lot, roll up to stand. So we'll take the same on the other side. Into the right foot, hands to hips, little bend. Cover that left foot, step the left foot back, drop that left heel, finding warrior 1. Arms lift up. Soften shoulders. Begin to lean forward, the whole upper body. See how long the spine is. Then push off, reaching for the blocks. So I want everybody to try and start with the blocks first to get that alignment in the hips. So that left hip is going to want to lift up. Focus on leveling it out. Toes pointing to the mat. It's a lot harder to lift that leg when the hips are level, but that's what you want to work on. And then maybe play with balance once you have that alignment. Draw the belly, draw the hips toward the midline. Maybe lift one hand and then the other, or just come to fingertips. Even just coming to fingertips and maintaining balance is more challenging. Or maybe hands to heart center, or arms out to the side. And very slowly dropping that left leg back, warrior one. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step that right foot back, find plank. Drop your knees down. Push your seat to your heels and wrap the arms around the legs. Finding this more rounded child's pose. Full breath in and full breath out. Slowly rounding up to sit on your heels, drop off to one side, swing the legs around in front of you, and then bringing the back to the mat. Coming onto your backs, drawing the heels in, feet to the mat. Reach for your heels. See if you can graze your heels with your longest finger. Setting up for rolling bridge. So your feet, your knees, your hips in line. In alignment, I should say. And then on your inhale, press into your feet to lift your hips up. When you get to where the middle part of your back is lifting, float the arms overhead. And then exhale, lower the arms. When you get about halfway, lower arms and back together. Inhale, pressing into the feet and the hips. Lift as the middle of your back lifts, float the arms overhead. And exhale, arms float down, back and arms come to the floor together. So try 4 more, your own pace. Really matching breath with movement. Maybe even closing the eyes here. If your feet are turning out toward the sides, turn them in a little bit so they're almost more pigeon-toed. Usually if they feel pigeon-toed to you, that means they're facing straight toward the mirror. So whatever round you're on, take your time. Once you have finished, after lowering, draw the knees into your chest. Let the arms come out to the sides in line with your shoulders, palms face up. Keep the knees hugging in and begin dropping the knees down to the left and bring that right arm over with you as you roll to the left side of your body, right palm meeting the left. And now inhale, keep the knees where they are, just lift that right arm, opening you up into the twist. And breathing here. 4 more full breaths, softening the neck. Gaze either looking up or it's comfortable to turn your head to look out over the right arm. Full breaths, deep, even breaths. Next inhale, feel it gather in the belly as the knees lift to center. Keep the arms at a T. Keep the knees drawing into your chest, and then begin to lower the knees to the right, sweeping that left arm up and over, coming to the right side of the body. Have the palms meet. Keep the knees where they are. Inhale, the left arm, lift it up and over, opening you into the twist. 5 full breaths here. Palm face up to help that left shoulder start to release. Next inhale, feel it gather in your belly, lifting the knees back to center. Lift your forehead up to your knees, breathe into the back of the neck. Feel that release for the neck. And drop the head down. Take the knees wide so the knees are kind of in line with your armpits. So finding happy baby here, turn your feet to face the ceiling. Feet are flexed. Wrap your hands around the outside of your calves. Elbows come to the inside of your knees, helping to create that opening for the hips. And then draw your knees down toward the mat. Should feel your whole back spreading on the mat. There's really no need. You can reach for the outside of your feet if you want, but getting the hands wrapped around the calves, the elbows on the inside helps to deepen the stretch, drawing the knees toward the mat. Sacrum stays in contact with the mat. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. And then draw the soles of the feet together. Maybe wrap the hands now around the feet, heels coming toward your pubic bone. Version of Supta Baddha Konasana, or this version of Baddha Konasana on our backs. Maybe the elbows pushing against the inside of the knees. And then lengthen the legs up toward the ceiling for Paschimottanasana on our backs, or Viparsini Karani, legs up. One more full breath in and out. On your next exhale, begin lowering the legs slowly. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Push through the heels, lengthening the legs out of the hip sockets as you continue to lower slowly. That engagement in the abdominal muscles. 3, 2, 1. Release. Separate the legs a little bit. Continue to push through the heels. Help lengthen out through the hip sockets. Arms come out to the sides. Flip your palms up. Press into the backs of the arms to lift your chest a little and glide your shoulder blades under. And then find any other little adjustments to then Come into this final rest pose of Shavasana. With each inhale and exhale, maybe creating a larger outline, larger body outline. So just revisiting the story of the warrior poses. Warrior one represents the hero arriving at the ceremony with the two swords in his hand. Warrior two, with that strong gaze out over the fingertips, represents the hero focusing on his target. And warrior three, when we have the arms outstretched, our body long, represents the killing of Daksha with the two swords. It's a story to remind us that violence or revenge is actually never a way to reduce one's pain, as Shiva was still so mournful and remorseful over the killing of his wife's father. It's meant to symbolize our inner ability to overcome ego and ignorance. By testing our strength, our focus, our confidence, and courage, it reminds us that we can face challenges in our own life. Feeling the gentle rise and fall of your breath. As you tune into only the breath, allowing yourself to kind of withdraw from your senses, letting external sounds or smells or sensations just fall away so that you can release into this rest pose. It's only when we are at rest that we can let go of holding ourselves up. When we let go of holding ourselves up, we're able to release tension, unwanted tension out of our bodies. Stored tension, often it's proven that it creates illness. move one hand over your heart center, one hand to your belly. As you begin to deepen the breath, imagine there's nostrils on your chest where the breath moves in and out. As your breath comes in, imagine it gently expanding your heart space. And as the breath flows out, imagine it softening any rigidity. 3 breaths, deep inhales and exhales, imagining the breath moving in and out, expanding the heart space. Listening to the sound of your breathing as you tune in to the space under your hand. And after the 3 breaths, slowly shift your attention back into the space around you, inviting in small movements, wiggling fingers, toes, circling wrists, ankles. Maybe inhale the arms overhead for a long stretch. And then draw the knees into your chest, roll onto your right side. Extend that right arm out to use as a pillow under the head. And just take a couple of breaths there, allowing the energy to flow down from the heart, reawakening you. And then making your way up to a seat when you're ready. And bringing your hands to meet at your heart center in Anjali Mudra, prayer pose. Soft bow of the head, thanking yourself for being here. Just acknowledging any emotions or feelings or sensations that may have arisen. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Sealing the practice with the sound of Om. Take a clearing breath. So full inhale, exhale it fully out. Om. Wishing you all a beautiful day. Namaste. Take a moment, close your eyes, send a really good vibe to my daughter who's about to do her driving test. Oh. Or to me and my husband, I think. Oh. How does that happen? Right? Oh, right? So I gotta go meet them at DMV right now. Thank you. Oh, that was wonderful. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Deb. I'm glad you were able to join us. Sorry that the Zoom was in use by somebody, so I wasn't able to get on initially, but I'm glad you stayed. Okay, bye.